the core of devotion, or the light of certitude. A lantern in the breast reveals the heart's hidden chambers, pulse by pulse, breath by breath, where Feizani turns each word into a mirror of the soul, each page into a fragrance of eternity. The core of devotion, or the light of certitude.
The core of devotion, also known as the light of certitude, is the innermost sanctuary and radiant treasury of the heart. It has been named conscience. Honor the unveiled vision of God within, the state of complete surrender, and the sincerity of action purified of all self-interest. It is composed of hidden strata, interwoven with God knowledge, God seeking and God worship. To fathom this inner sanctuary more deeply, we must turn to the lessons inscribed upon the fabric of creation itself. Modern knowledge, though limited to the outer veil, still unveils countless signs that summon us toward contemplation of this concealed core.
The seed is silent revelation. We begin with the seed, for within this smallest vessel of life lies a complete design hidden, yet sufficient to disclose the wisdom of creation. Seeds manifest immense variety in form and dimension. Some, like the orchid seed, are finer than us, measuring less than a millimeter and nearly weightless, while others, like the Coco de Mer palm, expand to half a meter and weigh as much as 20 kilograms. Between these two extremes unfolds in infinite geometry the round grains of millet, the minute pearls of mustard, the oval pits of dates and mangoes, the rich stones of apricots and olives, the winged sails of maples and the feathery parachutes of dandelions. Yet whether dust-like or monumental, spherical or winged, each seed conceals within itself an astonishing architecture: embryonic root and shoot, stored nutrients, protective coat, and molecular instructions encoded in DNA. These hidden inscriptions command the seed through the marvels of cell division, polarity, and differentiation, directing the root into the soil and lifting the shoot toward the light. Botany calls this gravitropism and phototropism. Tropism roots are drawn downward by gravity. Shoots are lifted upward by light. Specialized cells contain amyloplast, starch-filled organelles that act as gravity sensors, signaling through hormones such as auxin to direct the descent of roots and the ascent of stems. Even when a seed is planted upside down, these secret pathways reorient its growth, ensuring that roots sink into the depths while stems rise toward the heavens. This is no accident of chance, but a flawless decree. Within the seed dwell these gravity-sensing amyloplasts, settling in response to the pull of the earth, whispering through the silent language of auxin to bend roots downward and arch stems upward. Simultaneously, shoots respond to the law of light, curving toward illumination even when buried in soil. Thus, whether inverted, buried, or cast upon unsaid ground, the seed unfailingly reorients itself, roots anchoring into darkness, shoots lifting toward radiance, each in obedience to its primordial law. Thus, within the silent geometry of the seed, whether smaller than dust or vast as a handspan, we encounter one law, a flawless command written in silence, awaiting only the touch of water and the warmth of light to awake and destiny. But beyond the outward explanation lies the greater wonder: who placed this wisdom in the dormant vessel of life, who inscribed such flawless laws into its microscopic chambers, ensuring that life unfailingly aligns with its appointed course. From that first secret stirring, the seed swells as water activates enzymes, breaking down stored starches into sugars to nourish the embryo. Soon, to tender cotyledons unfold, followed by a fragile stem that strengthens into branching shoots. Vascular tissues ilum and foam from intricate networks, lifting water upward and distributing nutrients with immaculate precision. Through photosynthesis, leaves transform sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water into the energy of life, releasing oxygen, the very breath of humanity, into the atmosphere. And yet, while physiology marvels at these pumps, networks, and biochemical factories, contemplative insight beholds another truth, that an unseen hand lifts water from root to fruit, that an invisible wisdom apportions sustenance with flawless justice, and that even the toothless mouth of the fruit is fashioned to deliver sweetness into the hand of man. Glory be to God, in his hand is the dominion, and he has power over all things. Thus the seed becomes a mirror, in its small body are engraved the vast mysteries of creation, unveiled alike to microscope and to spirit. And just as the seed silently proclaims order in miniature, so too does the cosmos declare the same law in grander rhythms. From the hidden stirrings of a grain beneath the soil, let us now lift our gaze to the vast rotations of earth and sky.
The rhythms of creation. Day and night, the Earth, a sphere of about 12,700 kilometers in diameter, turns once every 24 hours upon its axis. This steady rotation ensures that sunlight flows across its surface in cycles, 12 hours of illumination on average, followed by 12 of shadow. Without this balance, one half of the world would burn in endless fire, while the other froze in eternal darkness. The precision of this rhythm governs the human circadian cycle, our hormones, metabolism, and sleep. Here the contemplative eye perceives more than mechanics. It perceives harmony woven into the fabric of time, the ceaseless dance of light and shadow, action and repose, striving and surrender. And from this daily rhythm, our vision extends outward to the yearly cycles that clothe the Earth in garments of change. The seasons, the Earth's 23.5 degrees axial tilt, held steady as it orbits the Sun across 940 million kilometers each year, brings forth the alternation of heat and cold. This slight angle is enough to paint the Earth in hues of spring's awakening, summer's ripening, autumn's fading, and winter's stillness. Botanists describe germination, flowering, fruiting, and dormancy. Yet contemplative vision perceives artistry in these measures, a cosmic pendulum, set in motion by the divine, lest life stagnate, but instead be ever renewed through the mystery of death and resurrection. And if the seasons chart the Earth's yearly breath, then the moon marks its monthly pulse, drawing the waters, lifting the tides, and engraving its silver script upon the night sky. The moon, a sphere 3,474 kilometers across, orbiting Earth at an average distance of 384,400 kilometers. It waxes and wanes, crescent half, gibbous full, according to the play of light and shadow. Its gravity draws the tides, lifting oceans twice daily in an ancient rhythm. To astronomy, these are orbital mechanics. To metaphysical insight, the moon is the mirror of the heart, at times unveiled in fullness, at times veiled in darkness, yet always circling its source of light in faithful devotion. And just as the moon circles its source, so too do the planets circle theirs, each in flawless devotion to its appointed course. The planets, each planet moves in its appointed course, balanced by gravity and momentum, so exact that even a breath of deviation would dissolve the order of the cosmos. Calendars, navigation, and space missions depend upon this immovable stability. Physics names it celestial mechanics. The contemplative spirit calls it cosmic prostration, each planet and star bowing in obedience. And while the heavens whirl above in harmony, the earth below joins the same dance through the cycles of air and water. The atmosphere, a veil about 100 kilometers thick. It circulates winds, distributes rains, and refreshes the earth through evaporation and condensation. Without this balance, rivers would wither, crops would perish, and life would end. Science calls it climate. Contemplative wisdom beholds the merciful circulation of provision. From these planetary and atmospheric rhythms, let us return to ourselves, to the cycles of human life, which mirror creation in their rise and decline.
Human life as a mirror of creation. Contemplate the human life cycle. A body begins as a microscopic zygote, no more than 0.1 millimeters across, and grows into a being nearly 2 meters tall with trillions of cells. In childhood, the smallest nourishment yields growth, for the body is in expansion. In youth, strength flourishes, muscles ripen, the mind sharpens. In old age, the same foods bring weakness, for the body declines. Biology calls this senescence. Contemplative vision calls it the reminder that no worldly power can withhold the summons of eternity. Thus, from the smallest deed hidden in soil, to the grand rotations of earth and sky, to the rise and fall of human life, every law of nature whispers the same truth: all is measured by one wisdom, sustained by one hand, returning to one source. And the heart, confronted with these signs, cannot help but ask, who is the one that fashioned me, who inscribed wisdom into the seed, who set in motion the alternation of night and day, who adorned the heavens with moon and stars, who ordered the seasons, the waters, the winds, and the cycles of life and death? What is the purpose of this vast theater of creation? And what meaning is woven into my brief journey within it? Why was I summoned into being? To what destiny does this path carry me? And at last, where am I going? And with what being shall I meet? These are not idle curiosities, but living questions stirring from the very depth of the core of devotion itself.
The awakening questions of the core of devotion. All of these reflections, each question that stirs and unsettles the soul, are awakenings of the core of devotion within every human being. They resound with particular force for the seekers of love, the companions of the beloved, who, by the uncorrupted guidance of the Quran and the preserved wine of truth, attune themselves to its call. For the sound-minded, such questions kindle a longing, a yearning to commune with that majestic being, just as one seeks closeness with wise mentors and beloved friends in the gatherings of knowledge. If effort is made to remain in the company of great guides, how much greater must be the striving for nearness to the Creator of the heavens and the earth. To walk this path of intimacy and communion is not merely a choice, but the universal duty of humanity, the call to know God. It is for this reason that the Almighty has imprinted the core of devotion into the very architecture of the human heart. God has set a seal upon their hearts. This does not mean that hearts are barred from God, but that a seal of God knowledge and God seeking has been engraved upon every human soul. Even those who turn away from certitude are not devoid of it. Yet many have been corrupted, misled by exploitative leaders, architects of false ideologies, who, aided by demonic forces, turn them into rebels against their own essence. Still, the mercy of God is vast. Out of His grace, He has continually sent prophets and guides of devotion, bearing revelations and scriptures, at those very times when ego, desire, and heedlessness grew tyrannical. For as the Quran declares, we do not hold to account until we have sent a messenger. The presence of this divine gift, the core of devotion, has been affirmed throughout the Quran in many verses. Among them, He has inscribed certitude in their hearts and strengthened them with a spirit from Himself. This verse unveils that certitude is written deep within the hearts of the people of certitude, reinforced by a special, unseen grace from the divine, through sincerity and abundant deeds. This effusion is preserved and continues to radiate, illuminating the nucleus of certitude's light within. This nucleus, the core of devotion, is not only centered in the heart, but also bound to the very nucleus of life itself, the spirit that hovers above the heart. And it is from this radiant center that the light of certitude shines forth, not merely as an inner flame, but as a compass guiding the path of devotion itself.
The light of certitude, the compass of devotion. Now contemplate with discernment upon the following verses, in which God, majestic and exalted, speaks concerning believers, especially the companions of the messenger, peace be upon him. God has made the light of certitude beloved to you and has adorned it within your hearts. From the profound meaning of this expression, it becomes evident not only that the dwelling place of the light of certitude is the heart, but also that the core of devotion in the noble companions of the messenger had ascended to such sublime heights that it reached the lofty strata of love in the upper sanctuaries of the heart. In such a state, the corrupt strata of passion, malice, resentment, miserliness, cowardice, lust, and all other vices were subjugated beneath the radiance of this divine light, the very core of devotion.
The companions and the radiance of certitude. thus from the barren expanse of the Arabian Peninsula. Though empty-handed and bereft of worldly instruments of power, they traversed journeys of 2 to 3 months, bearing every hardship, carrying the path of devotion not only across their own region, but even into the distant lands of Europe and Africa. They gave no thought to whether they would perish or be consumed as witnesses of love upon this path. Nor did they pause to ask themselves, toward which horizon are we being carried? And for what end do we bear these burdens? Their compass was none other than love, and their destination none other than the beloved. The love overflowing with the light of God and the core of devotion, as established above, manifested so brilliantly in their hearts that exile, the extremes of cold and heat, hunger, illness, and every burden of the road became weightless shadows before them. Indeed, one may rightly say they scarcely even felt such trials, for love itself had become their sustenance and strength. This is the pure love for the Creator of all the heavens. Yet where light fills some hearts, darkness hollows others, and so, concerning the hypocrites and disbelievers, God declares,
hypocrites and the absence of light. The contrast of this divine statement is a clear unveiling of the condition of the hypocrites, for it proclaims that their hearts stand barren void of the radiant light of certitude. Their claim of faith is but a mask, concealing an inner wasteland stripped of sincerity and devotion. Likewise, such deception appears among those who merely claim affiliation, naming themselves Jews, Christians, or people of the book, yet lacking the inner flame of illumination, and thus their identity is a hollow label, not a living reality. And in another place, to comfort the messenger and expose the reality of false claimants, God declares, O messenger, let not those grieve you who hasten into disbelief, those who say, we believe, with their tongues, while their hearts have not embraced the light of certitude, and among them are those who claim to be Jews. This very disparity will manifest in the final age even among those who claim the Quran. Some will stand as hollow pretenders, set in opposition to the true companions of Imam Mahdi, peace be upon him, and to guard the seekers against such deception. The guiding teachers of the path established in the very preamble of their testimony a decisive condition. The light of certitude is confession with the tongue and confirmation in the heart. That is to say, confession with the tongue proclaims release from disbelief and signals to the community of seekers that one has entered their fold. Through this shared recognition, life, property, and honor are regarded with sanctity, and extending support to them in their rightful needs becomes a natural responsibility embraced by the companions on the path. Yet this verbal confession alone, without the heartbeat of sincerity, is as a shell without its pearl, a form without its essence. Yet the establishment of this light of certitude in the heart requires that one's work must be more than words. It must uplift society, relieve the oppressed, guide people from ignorance into light, and awaken hearts and minds in harmony with the sound principles of the way of love. If a person speaks eloquently yet lives without such service, they are like a digital device that streams the Quran and its commentary, projecting sound for others, yet remaining itself untouched, unmoved, and entransformed by the very truth it carries. True benefit comes not from transmission, but from embodiment. Therefore, the Almighty has condemned the scholars who failed to act upon their knowledge with the harshest of examples, a parable that, though revealed about the people of the Torah, is universal in meaning and applies equally to heedless teachers of every age. The example of those entrusted with the Torah, yet who did not uphold it, is that of a donkey carrying volumes laden with books, but deriving nothing from them except the burden. The weight of knowledge without practice is not honor, but humiliation. The burden of sacred texts without transformation is not light, but heaviness upon the soul. And the messenger, peace be upon him, explicitly declared, the light of certitude is not attained by idle wishes or embellished words of adornment. Rather, it is that which settles firmly in the heart and is confirmed by work that uplifts society, relieves the oppressed, guides people from ignorance to light, and awakens hearts and minds. Indeed, there are people who leave this world with none of this life-giving work. Yet they say we think well of God. They lie, for if they had truly thought well of God, they would have demonstrated that trust by perfecting their engagement in service, by embodying acts of illumination, and by proving their good opinion of the divine through works that kindle light in others. True hope in God is never passive, it blossoms into responsibility, into service, and into radiant action, shining as a testimony of love and certitude.
Toward deeper pursuit and discernment, we leave the further pursuit and comprehensive analysis of these truths to those whose hearts shine with complete and enlightened light of certitude, so that they may discern that the fundamental cause of decline among the seekers of devotion is nothing but the absence of true, complete, luminous love rooted in the light of certitude at the very core of devotion. Without this love, faith becomes performance. Without this certitude, devotion becomes shadow. Without this light, the path becomes night. Thus, the core of devotion stands before us as both mystery and mandate, a hidden strata of light that science may never unveil. Yet revelation eternally confirms. It is the seal and sanctuary of human destiny, the compass by which every soul is summoned to its source. To awaken it is to let the light of certitude govern the heart, refine every act of service, compassion, and illumination, and transfigure devotion itself into both compass and destination, the journey and the arrival. Whoever nurtures it ascends toward nearness. Whoever neglects it drifts into loss. In this lies the central truth of our existence, that the light within the heart was never meant to remain veiled, but to shine forth, guiding us home.